Okay, well, here's the poem. There's nothing wrong with you. I repeat, there's nothing wrong with you. This chaos in your life is absolutely normal. Everything changes. It's just the way things are. And the moment you begin to recognize that change is the way that love evolves and that you're meant to be in it totally, but not of it, only then can you begin to glimpse the great mystery. The birth of a star or galaxy begins at the rim of a black hole where energy is chaotic. The birth of a star or galaxy begins at the rim of a black hole where the energy is chaotic. Only there can you truly begin to join the divine milieu, breakdancing on the edge, breakdancing on the edge. Things will never settle down. Thank God, things will never settle down. I call that breakdancing on the edge. There's nothing wrong with you. I repeat, there's nothing wrong with you. I wrote that line 20 years ago. It came to me from in here after living, for over 50 years, thinking there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. The chaos in your life is absolutely normal. That's good news, really. When people say, gee, I just can't wait to get back to normal. Well, this is it. We tend to think normal is a kind of, pedestrian status quo where nothing changes. Everything changes. That's Buddhism 101 in 2 words. Do you want to know the essence of Buddhism? Big fact. Everything changes all the time, all the time. And the fact that we try to freeze it and keep everything status quo, that's the source of suffering. Everything changes just the way it is. And the moment you begin to recognize that change is the way love evolves, change is the way love evolves, and that you're meant to be in it totally, but not of it, in the change that's happening, in the chaos, in it totally, but not of it. That's a tricky thing. That's a line from the gospel. Jesus said, you're meant to be in the world, but not of it. Well, when the Sufis heard that, they said, oh, yeah, he's a Sufi. There's many poems by the Sufis, both Rumi and Sadi and Hafez about Jesus. He was one of their own. You need to be in the world, but not of it, which means totally like in life every moment, but somehow have a little bit of space, not totally, caught up in the world, but not of it. To have just that little bit of contemplative space that gives you room to move, you see. So you'd be totally in it, but not of it. Only then can you begin to glimpse the great mystery. The birth of a star or a galaxy begins on the rim of a black hole where the energy is totally chaotic. Black holes are these phenomenon that we discovered uh, that are so full of energy that even light can't escape. They are just dense with energy. They are just the places. It's sort of like on the edge of it, on the rim of a black hole. Uh, that's not in it, but on the rim of it is where there's so much chaotic energy that new stars are born. Even galaxies like the Milky Way was probably born, at least astrophysics guys say, on the rim, on the edge of a black hole. Where there are edges, there's a terrific amount of energy. I think of, the times I've crossed the border between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. There's so much energy on borders that it's almost scary, and a lot of chaos. One time we had to wade across the river because the thing was closed. We had to literally wade across the river from Haiti to get into the Dominican Republic. Talk about chaos. Yeah, but energy too. If you really want to live the same day, day in, day out, and have everything controlled, it's a kind of, it's not life, you see. So to be able to um, realize that that's the normal. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with this universe. It's how the universe goes. That's when you wake up into the quantum universe, which we spent yesterday like 4.5 hours working with the quantum Jesus teachings. He's not the only guy who woke up in the quantum universe, but he's a special one. And Buddha, 500 years before, he woke up to the fact he was living not in a Newtonian universe where everything is logical and sequential. No, the quantum universe is not like that. It's ordered. These guys who are doing chaos theory, it's ordered in a very paradoxical way. But it's what is. Are you going to dance with it? And I use the image breakdancing on the edge. Because, we'll think of breakdancing for a minute. It came from the edge of the culture, came from the streets, came from primarily, the Black culture, which is the edge of our culture. But there's a terrific amount of energy there. And so here's one of the paradoxes I see. And when you wake up in the quantum universe, the center is the edge. And the edge is the center. In this last year, there is the virus, of course, but mixing right in with that was, say, something like Black Lives Matter. We never have had that much energy on the street in this country, ever. And it wasn't just in this country, it was all over the world. One event, policeman kneeling on a Black man and killing him on camera. One event, it was all over the world. That's the quantum universe. That's the quantum universe. There's a terrific amount of energy. And the energy, the fact that the energy is on the edge, not in the center. When Jesus, when Jesus was walking and when the Buddha was walking the same way, 500 years, they found the energy on the edge. Jesus was working with the poorest of the poor and got this terrific movement that's still with us, albeit sort of hamstrung, but it's still there. The Roman Empire isn't. So he's working the edge. That's why they say liberation theology, that there's a preferential option for the poor, because that's the edge. That's where the energy is. Think of Black Lives Matter, the amount of energy there, and then think of the United States Senate. Where is the center of what's happening, you see? Oh, Jesus. We might change the filibuster. Oh my God. I mean, it's really ridiculous if you think about it. And these people in the street, the poor, the energy is there. That's why they say there's a preferential option for the poor, because that's where the energy is. That's where the change comes from. That's where life lives. Where the ocean meets the shore, that edge There's a terrific amount of fecundity there, of energy. It's rich. And it's also where anything, the forest meets the plain, always on the edges, there's a terrific outburst of light. So, in a way, that one of the big paradoxes of having a contemplative practice, that we're going to dive into uh, dropping the body and a mind into the heart, into the inner center. One of the paradoxes of that is it brings you to the edge. You can't live a status quo life if you have a contemplative practice. You just can't, and you can't really um, navigate the edge without having a centered kind of practice. It's a very interesting paradox. Merton said God was the center that's everywhere, whose circumference was nowhere. Take that image. That's a quantum image. He's in this universe. Mystics are in the quantum universe, even though they might know the name. And quantum, again, don't get overly nervous about science that you didn't do well in grade school or something. Quanta just means the smallest possible packet of energy. And so the quantum universe is the universe that is full of energy, life energy for you. The one line in there that change is the way that love evolves. I used the image from Teilhard de Chardin. He was a 20th century Jesuit who was so far ahead of everybody, including his whole order. They sort of just kicked him to the side of the road. But he was talking about this sense of we're going towards an omega point, towards a event horizon. It was the evolution of consciousness, which he saw as the evolution of love. Think about that in the news you watch on TV. Oh, it's very easy to think that this world is a mean, dangerous, dark place. Well, at times it is, but so is supernovas. So are planets dying. A lot of those stars we see burned out years ago. That's just sort of the way it goes. We talked about the whole cycle of life and where it has, that the death is not the opposite of life and dark is not the opposite of light. Ugly is not the opposite of beautiful. They're complementary. That's one of the gifts of the quantum spirit, is to realize that things are complementary. They're not opposite. I mean, it's a lot to not see the world in black or white, but to see it in black and white, to see all the colors, you see. Yeah. Breakdancing on the edge. Things will never settle down. That line the whole poem came from a woman, a local woman, 20 years ago, who said, when I first opened the Loose Leaf Holland, she said, when things settle down, I'm going to come out to a retreat. She hasn't come yet because, I tried to say, I said, Mary, that's not, you don't have to have things settle down to come to retreat. You come to retreat when your hair's on fire. And that's what brought me to the practice, It's just, I just got to get things settled down around the house and then I'll be out. 20 years. She's still living in the town here, hasn't been here yet. So that whole idea of, when things settle down, then I'll live, or, whatever. That's another universe. What's the suffering of living in a Newtonian worldview in a quantum world? I mean, here we all are, quantum technology, south of France, coast of west coast of the United States, everybody in between. Here we are. We got the technology. We don't have the worldview. We're still trying to cram everything into something that we can control. I am. Anybody who knows me, anybody who knows a 1 on the Enneagram, but it's really everybody. We're just experts at frustrating ourselves. That's all. So anyway, we're going to go into we're doing a little bit different today as we drop in. Normally I give a kind of a lead down, maybe an invocation to help us make this It's not easy to jump from the logical left brain world, which is, it's not bad, but it's complementary to this other important organ we have, which is the heart, where we can have the heart is sort of that edge between the logical world and this world and, something else, something transcendent. See, so to drop down to the heart is we're going like to the edge. Okay. And so I'm going to use what we used yesterday. Those of you who were here yesterday, remember this, or we're practicing this. We're just going to do a little 5 minutes of Aramaic. And if you guys missed yesterday and were wondering about it at all, well, you'll be able to hear what Jesus's language was. He didn't speak English, which is a big surprise to some people. And he didn't, when he spoke, red letters didn't come out of his mouth. No, he spoke Aramaic, which Hebrew was the religious language, like Latin for a long time in the Middle Ages was the Bible language, the book language, the religious language. He spoke the street language. He was on the streets. Jesus was rarely in the temple. He was not a churchgoer. And when he was in the temple, he got in trouble every time. But most of his life and ministry was in the streets on the fly. And the fact that we made a church-going kind of pastime out of his way was sort of ironic. It is paradoxical. But I think it'll even be able to overcome that. Doesn't mean I love going into church. Church is the sacred space, no problem. But the fact that is the requisite. No. So anyway, we're going to use this in just 5 minutes of chant, and a chorus. It's a group from a San Antonio Vocal Arts Ensemble did this whole thing with music from the time of Jesus, and it's about 5 minutes long. It'll be our entryway, and you can take it on one of three levels. You can just listen to it. Just let the sound hit you. That's fine. That can take you all the way to the center. Or you can breathe with it. It's a little bit more intense. So you synchronize your breath with the chorus. They'll be chanting simply one word. We worked for 45 minutes with that one word yesterday. In our language, it would be Abwoon, Avun. It's the first Aramaic word in what's now known as the Lord's Prayer or the Our Father, Avun. So they'll be chanting that for 5 minutes, and so you can sort of sync your breath up with it. When they chant you're breathing in, and when they chant the Vun, you breathe out. And you just sort of go with the chorus, okay, for 5 minutes. 5 minutes of that kind of breathing. Breathing in on the breathing out on the Vun. Maybe you'll go to that level. That's fine. That's really good, actually. And then if you want to really get daring and go to the edge of chant, you can actually just chant with them. Okay, and that it goes one way. When they're chanting, you're chanting. And then you breathe. Yeah, so then it's all one word going out. So whatever level you want, any one of them can take you deeper to where we can make this contact with the edge of the human heart and the divine heart. That's another edge. That's a very important edge to hang out at. So, all right, so I'm going to roll it. So if we can go into meditation mode, and then we'll just keep going. Set my timer here. All right. So So just relax with this, no matter what. And if you decide to start chanting and it gets a little tough to do, we'll just drop back to the breathing or drop back entirely just to listening to it. Any one of those might be the right way for you to do it today. I don't know. So you got three possible dances to do with this. Okay, bon voyage here. Better call it up. Technology here. Okay. Bon voyage. To the center and to the edge, same time.